everyone. This is Heather Williams, and I'm here with Unleashed Empowerment. Today, we're going to talk about overcoming trauma. So, just to kind of let y'all know, I may say a few things that could be triggering to some. Just a heads up and warning, I don't get that graphic or anything, but sometimes just when people hear things, it kind of gets them back to that moment. So, earlier today, Zach and I were talking on Unchained Empire about overcoming trauma. So I figured I'd kind of go in with that here as well today. And he's going to talk to a lot of his men and on his podcast, the Uncaged Accountability, about it as well. So every Tuesday in my group on Facebook called Unleashed, we actually have Trauma Tuesday. And it's not to just talk about trauma and be negative and whatever. My biggest thing is I want you guys to overcome trauma. And I want y'all to realize and understand why it's so important to. Trauma can be from your past, things that you've already been through. Trauma can also be what you're going through now. And trauma doesn't necessarily have to be about physical abuse or sexual abuse. It could be about having, a bad relationship, problems with children, people being sick. Like there's a lot more to it. A lot of people hear trauma and they just immediately go to sexual assault and being beaten up. And that's not necessarily it. Sorry, guys, I'm sick. So, my voice, everything is just off. My brain's not working either. But yeah, so what I want to kind of talk about today is how it is possible to overcome your trauma. For me, I went through 3 different situations with 3 different men with sexual abuse. One of them, even though we were in a relationship, like when you say no, it means no. So that's still not okay. 2 other times, don't know them, whatever. Went through that, went through physical abuse with someone that I was in a relationship with, got stalked one night, and then on 2 different occasions, he actually physically abused me. And then, just the mental abuse in a lot of my relationships, but also, the main one, the biggest one is with my dad. Definitely, if you've heard me before, I talk about him a lot. He did pass away. Love that man with all my heart. He's actually been on my heart a lot here lately. And I don't know if it's because I've been so vocal about him with everybody. And maybe he's just like, God damn it, Heather. But, we didn't really have the greatest relationship. There was tons of yelling, lots of, cups being thrown around, chairs being tossed around, just all kinds of stuff. It was a lot. But all of that mixed together caused a lot of trauma for me. It kind of put me in it put me in a bad place. And, it made me choose a certain path that I shouldn't have, which it's in the past. It is what it is. And it's a lesson learned. But a lot of people ask me how I overcame it. And everybody's different. Again, everybody's trauma is different. So for me personally, I actually hit rock bottom. I was drinking so much that I was starting to miss my shifts for work. And thank God I had a badass boss that I'd been at this place for years. He'd make me work if I was in town on vacation, just visiting everybody. It was one of ththose places, love it. It's my favorite place I've ever worked. But I was missing shifts to work. I was doing so much coke. It's, like I said earlier, it's astonishing. It was terrible how much I was doing. I was pretty much functioning off of it. But I hit rock bottom, and I got to a point where I had no money. The hangovers were ridiculous. I had no idea what was going on. It was just, I was in a very, very dark place. And I've told this story before. I cried myself to sleep every night because I was just like, man, am I ever going to get through this? Is this my life now? And whatever. And there was one night I didn't cry myself to sleep. I woke up the next morning and I was like, I'll be damned. I didn't cry myself to sleep last night. That's awesome. Maybe I'm getting through this. And from that point on, I was like, you know what? Things need to be better. I need to do better. I need to show better. I've got to move on from this. So I made myself get in the gym. I was in the gym 2 times a day, depending on my work schedule. I was eating healthier. I was, drinking my water, the things you would do if you just want to lose weight. I started doing that, but it was keeping myself busy. I decided, no more Coke. We're just going to cold turkey that and get rid of that. And then the alcohol, that was a little bit harder just because I worked in a bar. But I had self-control, believe it or not, which I didn't even know that I had self-control. It didn't seem like it. But I slowed myself down on the drinking. And I didn't have a reason, I don't think, anymore. I think that's what it was. I didn't have the reason to like just keep drinking to forget. I was finally at a point where I was like, I don't want to forget. I need to move past it. So like I can go have a beer or a glass of wine or whatever and be fine and stop at that. I didn't have to drink myself to a blackout. So I made myself get over everything. I made myself climb out of that rock bottom pit that I was in. And I decided to do, like self-help books. I did a lot of research on mental health and everything. I think getting in the gym and eating healthier helped me out a lot. I lost so much weight because I guess I was like just depressed in the relationship I was in at the very end and like just didn't give a shit. But then all of a sudden I was like, I have gained a lot of weight. I feel terrible, and like that's when I was just like, something's got to give, and got into all that. But that helped so much. It kept me busy, and then my body started to feel good. When your body starts to feel good, your gut starts to feel good. When your gut starts to feel good, your brain starts to fucking feel good. And so it just turned out to where I started to feel fucking good finally. And that's, it sounds a lot easier said than done, but like that's how I overcame my trauma. I'm that kind of person, like, I make myself do something. I'm like, you know what? This is what you want to do. You're going to fucking do it, and you're going to go do it now. And I make myself do it. That's just how I've always been. So that's how I got through everything, And then I, of course, had a great support from my mom. We were living together at the time because she was going through a divorce with my dad. And, we got to talk to each other about everything. And there was a lot of drama in all that situation. But, like, I got to be there for her. She was there for me. And that helped a lot too. So having even just, I had all my friends too. I had a couple of friends, my ride or dies, I call them, that they were, always constantly texting me being like, hey, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk today? Whatever. Like, so having that little support group was really great too. And I highly advise that. Like, you can do things on your own, but sometimes having that support as well, like really just uplifts you and kind of helps you get through it quicker, in my opinion. But I had them, and then, just being like in a healthier body and a healthier state of mind, all of that combined really helped me to get over my trauma. Now, to this day, is there still things that like I get triggered by? Yes. As we talked earlier in our Unchained Empire podcast, I was saying like, I am healed. I do think I'm healed. I've forgiven the people who have hurt me. And I'm okay. I'm not okay with what they did, but like they must have their own demons to be the way that they are or the way they were. I don't know some of them, like personally. So like I've forgiven them. It's in the past. It is what it is. And I've learned and grown, like I've grown from it. And, sometimes that's hard for people to say, but I feel like, or it's hard for them to think that they could forgive the person that hurt them, but it is possible. And I feel like in doing that, it really helped me grow and heal. So now I'm to like a healed point where I can discuss all of the things that happened to me, like with you guys, but I can also like help you get through it. So like a lot of us have similar stories and a lot of us just don't talk about it. You can heal from all of this, but you can still have triggers, right? So like there's some times that maybe Zach will be like upset and agitated about something and like he's acting a certain way or he has a certain tone, and it'll bring me back to certain things that have happened before, but then I'll sit there and be like, hey, with you acting this way, or when you're talking to me right now and you have this tone, like it's really kind of put me in this spot that I don't like and this feeling I don't like, and it's back from, in my trauma, and so like I don't want to associate that with you. So is there a way we can work through this? And he's gotten really good at about being, finally figuring out like she's not just being a bitch to me. She's not just yelling at me. Like she's actually like brought back to her past and her trauma and things that really hurt her. And it's hurting her more because it's me doing things. So like it clicked for him, and he was like, I don't want you to ever associate with me and with what happened in your past. So, overcoming trauma is so hard and it's so different for everybody. It's not the easiest thing to do. Sometimes it's great to go and talk to a therapist. I think therapy can be really great. But like for me, when I was talking to a therapist, I didn't like the whole, you know, uh-huh, uh-huh, okay. Is that how you really feel? Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I want someone talking to me. So when I started talking to people who do like life coaching and stuff and like talking to them, like they're actually asking me questions. Like they're making me think of things. They're making me come out with things. And like, I think that helped me a lot is the talking of it, but also being heard, right? So that's, I think therapy is a wonderful way, even if it's with an actual therapist, if it's just for you, like you're just like, I just want to get this out and talk it out and that's going to make me feel better. Or if you're like, I need someone to actually hear me and understand it and help me through it, then I think life coaching is a great way to go as well. I'm working on becoming a life coach. I have a course that I'm going through right now because I really feel like I could actually, because of the things I went through and the trauma I went through, and also how I overcame it, I think I could really help with people in these situations. Trauma can be something that is just not necessarily like I hate to say this, but like a bad thing, okay? And some people, when they hear that, they're like, trauma's fucking horrible. What are you talking about? But for me, and I guess it's because I'm at the point of my healing journey, like the trauma I went through was crap. It was terrible, but it also like really helped me to grow to the person I am now. And I don't know. I don't know where I would be right now if maybe that stuff didn't happen to me or if I would have went about it a different way. I don't know. So it wasn't fun. I didn't like it. I don't wish it upon anybody. But it also made me become this badass person that's fucking constantly growing and teaching and, showing my daughter like what not to do and how to be and things like that. So like I learned a lot from it. And a lot of people may disagree with that and that's fine. But for me, the trauma I went through, yeah, it was terrible, but it also did a lot of good. I mean, I'm here now. I'm getting to share all this stuff with you guys. I'm getting to help a lot of women, so many women come out with their stories and be able to be like, you made me feel not alone and this is my story and now I can heal, And so like for me, that's wonderful. Overcoming trauma, you don't do it in a day. Sometimes it takes months. Sometimes it takes years. And you shouldn't be hard on yourself because it takes you longer than someone else. Like this isn't a race. This is literally you and yourself working on what you have gone through and working to overcome it, get through it, learn from it, and then grow. I know a lot of people will come to me and be like, man, it's so great to see your journey and see where you came from. And now you're doing this, but like, I don't think I could ever do that. Or how did you even do this? And, I just don't see myself ever getting over it. Well, if you're in that mindset that you're never going to get over it, you're not. It's just not going to happen. Like we talked about earlier on Unchained Empire, we were saying how you have to have the want to get through this. You can't, the pity parties don't work. I wish I could do this. I wish I could have gotten over this and or I wish I could be where you are now. You can, but you have to fucking do it. You have to do the work. You can't just automatically wake up one day and be like, I'm good. It doesn't work that way. Read those self-help books, go on the internet and research what you've gone through, what other women have gone through and how they've dealt with it. Like there's so much out there for you to learn. You're going to have to put in the work to do this and it may come quick for you. You may be that person where you're like, fuck this, I'm getting over this and we're going to take this much time every day to do this and whatever. It doesn't take you that long. It may take you a little bit longer to actually heal. Now you may go through it pretty quickly of learning, like the ways to go about it, but to heal, it might take a little bit longer and that's okay too. Like it does not matter how long it takes you to heal. It took me a long time, a very long time. I mean, all this stuff happened to me when I was a kid with my dad and then the whole guy shit crap, all that was like, I don't know, 13, 14, I think, up until a couple years ago, So it took me a long time to get over it and actually like realize this has got to change. So also, when overcoming your trauma, you're not alone. So it's okay to talk about it. Being a fly on the wall, I think is great because you will feel like you're not alone. Like you'll see other people going through it. But when you're still holding all that in, it really is, it's really just festering inside of you. And that can honestly cause so many more problems than just, you not becoming the better version of yourself. We were talking about it earlier, like statistically, we've heard that like holding in negativity causes, depression, anxiety, cancer, and things like that. I explained about my dad. He had a very traumatic childhood. His dad was a terrible person. His dad would beat him. I don't know about his siblings, but him for sure. His mom, which was my granny that raised me. And him watching that, yeah, he could have changed his ways later on, but he didn't. But he also held all that in, and he wouldn't talk about it with anybody. Like, he was just an angry man that didn't, with no emotions. And I think all of that festering inside of him for so long did a lot of damage to him. When we finally like connected again and got back together and like forgave each other for everything, he opened up a lot to me about stuff, and I wish he would have done it so much sooner, because I don't know, he died of cancer this past August, and maybe all that festered inside of him is what just fucking took over his body, in all honesty. Because obviously it's a lot of different things, but I don't think that helped any, So getting your trauma out, releasing it, talking about it, learning to grow from it, try to put it in a positive light. And I know when you hear that, you're like, how the fuck can I put into a positive light of me being sexually abused? Well, you can be like, you know what? I'm going to get my story out there. I'm going to let other women know that they're not alone, and I'm going to help women overcome it how I overcame it. And there's your positive light on it. There's so many things of this, and like I'm working on trying to make like a course in how you can overcome. And it sometimes I get to these points where I'm like, man, like, how do I go about this? Because sometimes it can sound so terrible. Like just how when I said sometimes trauma isn't always bad. It's not necessarily because the trauma itself wasn't bad, but it's because it led to really positive, great things. So like I get in my head still about certain things, but it just needs to be done. There's such a need for it. And so like I really hope this course, when I finally get done with it, I can get it out there, and it just really helps everyone. Another thing we kind of talked about was it's not just women that go through trauma. It's also men as well. Like I found out a story about my husband a couple of days ago that I had no idea. He just never talked about it because he just didn't see the need to. But now that, we're on this journey together of doing these podcasts together, and him having a men's group, me having a women's group, he was kind of like, well, maybe I do need to talk about this. And so we did. And I think it made him feel a lot better to get it out, but like he went through a situation that many men probably would never admit to, because they just have that, I'm the provider, I'm the male, alpha male, and all that bullshit. So like they don't really come out with a lot when they really need to. They need to come out with their emotions because they go through fucking trauma too, and they need to overcome it so that way they can become a better version for themselves. That way they don't have all that festering inside of them. And this is for women too. None of us need to fester that inside of us, because it affects the ones around us as well. It bleeds out to them, and sometimes we don't mean for it to, but it does. And that's not fair to those people. They're not the ones that hurt us. They're not, half the time they're the ones that want to be around us and help us and see us through everything. If I sat there and let everything that's happened to me fester inside, that means that my relationship with Zach could be just shit, or that I could be putting that on Lottie, and then Lottie grow up to be like, well, mom was always in a shit mood because all this stuff happened to her, and like, what if this happens to me, and it could scare her to death to fucking step out of the house or whatever, So like, it sounds, you don't want to be like selfish, I guess you'd say, but like, you want to think about everybody too that's around you, your loved ones that want to see you succeed. And you have to keep that in mind. Like, because of my trauma and me trying to overcome it, is that affecting them? Like, how can I work through this with them? So there's just so much to it. I could probably go on for like hours about trauma. I will not bore y'all with all of that. I feel like I've done a lot of rambling already. Again, sorry, like I guess it's sinus or head cold or something going on. I don't know. I sound terrible. I'm seasoned, I'm coughing and the whole bit. And my brain is just not working. But yeah, so I hope that you got something out of this. Overcoming trauma is not easy, but it is possible. You can fucking do it. You just need to have the want to do it. I am always here to talk to anybody that needs to talk about, man or woman. I don't care. Like, if you have an issue and you need someone to talk to, like, that's what I've been put on this earth for. That is why I'm here. If you're a woman and you haven't joined Unleash, I would love to have you in our group. We do talk about trauma on Tuesdays and stuff, and I try to do my best to help everyone get through theirs and like how we can work on it. Again, I'm working on a course to get for you ladies as well. And then if you're a dude and you need that kind of accountability, but you're like, I don't know if I want to come out and say all this kind of stuff, or, I just kind of want to get some help with some certain things. My husband's group is amazing. It's called Uncaged Accountability. He's a little bit more aggressive than I am. I am, to that point where I'm like, all right, guys, no more pity parties, no more bullshit. Like, we're fucking doing this. But he's a little bit more aggressive and vulgar than I am. But, we're both here for you guys. And we also have our, he has his podcast, The Unchained Accountability. I have this one. And then we also have The Unchained Empire, where we actually come together as co-ed and talk about everything so you can get a male perspective and also a female's perspective. So, I really hope this is helping you guys. I wish I didn't feel so shitty today if my brain was like really working. But we are going to, roundabout come back to overcoming trauma eventually. There's so much more to it. And, I really want to see everyone grow that have experienced trauma. And I really want to see them be and become the best version of themselves. So we will, come back to this and go through more of it. And I hope it really helps someone. So thank you guys so much. Again, I'm Heather Williams, and thank you for listening to Unleashed Empowerment.